this chapter is called Healthy Relationships Must Be Win-Win. And here we go. Here's the law of mutual benefit. So this law is the law of mutual benefit. So the goal here is that you want relationships that are not lopsided, okay? Where both parties feel like they're winning. That they're not lopsided, where one meets the other's needs but it starts to become very codependent because it's always focused on one person and not the other. In those kind of relationships, there's always seems to be somebody who's losing. They don't quite get what they need out of the relationship. And the constant feeling that somehow there's losing involved here and no winning. But the reality is that both partners need to and deserve to win. So we really want to focus on the win-win type of relationship. So the success of any relationship depends on having two people who give and receive mutually. They have a mutual pursuit, so they want the same things, and they want a joint benefit out of the relationship. So it's they want the same things out of the relationship. And those things, in doing that, you need to have respect, honor, and values that are shared by both. So if I respect you and you don't respect me, we're not going to get very far. And what happens when you have these lopsided relationships, you start to get, you start to feel like you're running on empty, especially if you're the person who seems to be giving all the time. You have to find a way to refuel yourself. And if that relationship isn't refueling you, then that's where you can see there's something wrong in that relationship. So for you to have, when you think about, I want to have an enjoyable, a purpose-filled, successful life, well, in order to do that, I need to surround myself with people and relationships that can benefit me and I can benefit them equally, so that we both are successful. So the group is successful. It can be individual relationships, it can be co-workers, it can be anything. You just want to be in relationships that make you feel like everybody is winning. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
Can we comment now? Or
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So I was just thinking about how when you were talking about, in an unbalanced relationship where one seems to be just contributing more, than the other, just always giving, and the other, the one that's doing all the giving can tend to be resentful.
Mm-hmm.
And then that giving, where you originally started off with a good feeling for the giving, then it's like the good feeling for the giving is gone, and it's like a slave thing or something. It's not a
well, it becomes
right.
They become drained, and
right.
when you become drained, it starts to damage a relationship, because, like you said, you become resentful, and your relationship is depleting your energy and your resources without you ever getting anything back. So you are a great person to say all this, because you led me right to the next section, which is, how do you know when your relationship is depleting you? Like, how do you know that? Some people can say, well, oh, that should be obvious, right? It should be obvious. Well, it may be, but sometimes it's obvious, but we're in a relationship that is so familiar and so convenient that you just stay in it without realizing just how dysfunctional it is. And like Mother Trout said, you become resentful, but it's what you know. And so rather than get out of the relationship, you just maintain it, even though the negativity is still there. Some of the things that become real obvious, the dysfunction, is that there's some kind of control and manipulation possibly happening, where one person is manipulating what the other person is doing or is controlling. You always do what I want to do, instead of saying, like, well, when we go out to dinner, we always go where I want instead of where you want. And it may be as simple as that, but it starts to wear on a person. There can be confusion about just how healthy is this relationship, because something just doesn't feel right. And sometimes that's when you have to start to feel, trust your gut, trust your emotions, and trust that something doesn't feel right. Okay. So I'm going to show you now. Oh, here we go. We're going to try to share screen. So a relationship, can you see that? A relationship that depletes you are these things. They're a constant source of discouragement. They give you a sense that you want more than the other person wants the relationship. You have to repeatedly convince yourself to stay in it. You are actually physically, mentally, and emotionally tired after being with that person. It may be comfortable or convenient on the surface, but underneath, in your gut, in your heart, in your spirit, something's not right. And for some people, it's just too much work to get out of it. So they just don't want to do it. You really start to feel the energy level just being sapped out of you, and you just don't even want to confront the problems or the challenges anymore. You just roll with it. It taxes all of your resources. And when I talk about resources, it has a lot to do with not just monetary resources or anything else, but it's your joy and your peace, your time. Everything seems to be like they're taking all of that from you. It may be pleasant while you're with them, but then you feel kind of, like Mother Trout said, resentful that you had to spend that time with them. To me, the one that says you feel a combination of excitement and dread about being with the person. Like before you go to see them or be with them, you just like, I really don't want to do this, This next to the last one is pulls you away from your closeness with God and other people. And sometimes what happens is you're so focused on that other person that it pulls you away from other things that are important in your life. And it dulls your vision for your life and your future. Okay. So those are things. Was there a question?
Yeah, could you put that back up? I was trying to get some of those down.
Okay, okay, here we go. I can always send this out to people if you'd like.
Yes, that'd be great.
Okay.
Yes, I was going to ask if you do that.
I have 2 slides from today that I will send out like I did the 2 last week, if that will help. Okay, because it's a lot of information, and I know that. But it's good information. That's the thing. So I will send that out at the end, or within the next 24 hours. So those are the things that really deplete you and when you think about it, oh my gosh, it's disastrous when you're in a relationship like that. And they're not always romantic or it can be a friend who is just depleting you as a friend. And that's the thing that we don't always understand, that it's more than just, I'm talking about coworkers. I mean, some of us can talk very openly about coworkers who are like that. Now,
yeah,
go ahead.
there's like can be like one person in the office, and everybody knows this one person that nobody in the office wants to be around. Everybody has that one person.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, there are, and it's like you just do not, every time you talk to this person, you're like, oh, here they go again.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, and that list, the first, like, I'm thinking when I was looking at that list, I'm like, after the first 4, if you have something, if you have a relationship with the first 4, it's time to go. You won't have to go through all 10 and 12.
Well, and that's it. If you, I mean, it's just so, you can just, by reading it, you feel it draining. You feel what that would feel like when you read it. And that was the thing for me. Now, on the flip side of that, a relationship that adds positivity to your life, here we go. Here's the flip side. And these are the 2 that I'll send out to you. Because the flip side is good you have to see both sides of it. The flip side is if you have a friendship or a relationship or a coworker that won't allow you to become complacent. They equip you with wisdom that you need to navigate life and situations. So when things are confusing, they help you. They truly help, and you help them. They offer you unconditional love and acceptance. And I know that's a hard one, but some people love you, even if they disagree with you. They still love you. They still accept you and accept that, you might not agree on some political thing or whatever, but you still love each other and you still accept each other for who you are. They provide a safe place for who you are. They hold you accountable for your dreams. They know what your dreams are because you've been able to share them, and they hold you accountable to them. And they don't compete with you. They don't look at your life and say, oh, you're doing that, I should do that because that looks good. They celebrate your life and your accomplishments. There's no real competition there. They stretch you and challenge you to become better. They give time and energy to you when you need it. You give it back. It seems to be a balance there. There's a listening ear. It doesn't say gives advice. It says listening ear. And sometimes that's the key. They don't always have something they have to return to say, here's what I would do. They just listen. They expose you to more than you have experienced before and open your life to new possibilities. How wonderful it is when you say, I just don't know that, or I've never done that before. Has anybody done this or that? And you hear about things and you think, oh, I might want to try that. Please, I will never go skiing. That's fine. I don't need to try that. But somebody, might, They're your biggest cheerleaders, and they're a constant source of encouragement. And basically, they're simply a joy to be around because you feel that balance, and you don't feel drained. You don't feel overly taxed by the relationship. So you see the differences are very clear. What's a positive and what's a draining relationship? So what we've been talking about basically is what's called relational health, H-E-A-L-T-H. So your relationships have to be healthy. You have to be in relationships that serve with a person who's willing to serve and sacrifice as much as you do for you and for them. That you're honest and transparent, which is some of the things we talked about last week. You don't have to worry about being alone or feeling empty. You're not afraid of being vulnerable. You feel emotionally safe. Both of you feel very emotionally safe and protected. All of those things allow you then to take the relationship to another level, which means you can trust each other. And that's one of the things we talked about last week. It was the trust, that's sometimes difficult. And that's a healthy relationship. And I love the example he gave for an unhealthy relationship was, double dutch. I know you all know what double dutch is, the skip rope, you know. He said uh, an unhealthy relationship is like double dutch. Sometimes you're in, sometimes you're out, and you don't feel safe enough to stay in all the time. So, like with double dutch, you can be in for a while and then you're like, ooh, I got to get out because I'm getting tired or whatever. And that's what an unhealthy relationship will start to feel like. And I love that example because immediately I was like, yeah, I know double dutch. So, a new word, not a new word, but a word we're going to use now for the win-win situation is synergy. Now, we've all probably heard the word synergy before. It's spelled S-N-Y-E-R-G-Y. And the definition is people, groups, or things coming together to produce something greater than any one of them could produce alone. And that's just a fantastic thought, that when you get 2 or 3 people together, it multiplies the possibilities. 10 plus 10 is 20, but 10 times 10 is 100. So it multiplies, it's that much more, okay? Now, God really intended us to live with a synergy in our life, with a relationship with Him and others that had that synergy, because he knew that would be the creative force that would be mutually beneficial to everyone, right? So he had Adam, he created Eve, he said, okay, now together you're going to be that much better. You add the third part of God in there, it's going to be fantastic. Well, they kind of blew it. So, but the point is that synergy can't happen by yourself. You can only have synergy in relationships. You can't have synergy all by yourself. Okay, so the potential of synergy, and I'm going to read from Ecclesiastes because this is part of the book, but it's wonderful. It's Ecclesiastes 4:9-12. And this is from Solomon, very wise man. We all know that. 2 are better than 1 because they have a good return for their work. If one falls down, his friend can help him up. But pity the man who falls and has no one to help him up. Also, if 2 lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? Though one may be overpowered, 2 can defend themselves. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. So obviously, Solomon got the point of synergy, that it doesn't, you have to have another person in your life to kind of keep you going, you can't isolate. A true synergistic friend will stand with you, provide companionship, perspective, insights, prayer. They won't always have the answers for you, but they're willing to talk to you about things. And you can, if you go to them with a problem, and they will come to you. And it doesn't matter if they've never experienced what you've experienced, but they are willing to help you work through something like that. So that's a kind of a protective thing that happens within synergy, okay? So synergy can provide protection for you in your relationship. Yes, Mother Trout.
So when I was just thinking about, 2 working together, how important it is, how good it is when it comes to raising children,
Mm-hmm.
because then the whole decision for that child's well-being wouldn't be on one person, because it can be really difficult. You never know what kind of issues you can come up with, and it's always good to have someone else that you can go to help you, or that can, you can kind of work together to decide or to come to a decision or something like that for whatever the issue may be. So yeah, I thought about that with, and
Yeah.
with raising, really with anything. It could be with anything.
Yeah, I agree. So synergy, we'll
Go
go
ahead.
back. Synergy provides
Yep.
protection.
Yeah,
because-
grandmother had a comment.
Okay, go ahead, grandmother.
I think if you be yourself, it will be easier for people to understand and get along with you. They know whether to love you or not. Just be yourself.
That's true. If
They
you're
know whether to love you or not.
if you are who you are, that's the whole thing. If you're honest and open, people can see who you are. So synergy can provide protection if you have a synergistic friend, because they can help you sort through life's troubles. Companionship, perspective, insight, prayer, whatever you need, you can work together on them. Synergy can bring provision, production, and promotion too. Because if you refuse to isolate yourself and you join yourself with productive, loyal friends, people, the encouragement that you give each other, the value you've added to each other's lives, and the support and the wisdom increases all of the productivity and provision that you are giving each other. When I say provision and promotion, I'm not just saying the traditional thought of, oh, provision is food on the table, money. Promotion is a job promotion. It is a perspective. You are able to provide like that positive outlook, that other things come with that, because people begin to see that you are different. And they are able to support you as you try to change and make yourself better, if that makes sense. If it doesn't, yell at me. Synergy enables power. When people, and we have seen this, when people kind of infuse their faith, their confidence, their wisdom, encouragement into a negative situation, what happens? You have that much more power to get through a negative situation together, right? I mean, we've seen it happen with our small group when we are all focused on that, like we are together on this, whatever the dilemma may be. And it may be as simple as cleaning the church, or it may be as difficult as someone in our midst is really suffering. When we put ourselves together, that really creates that power that is needed, because there's that synergistic power. Now, here we go. Synergy can be negative. Strangely, there are people who trouble seems to follow. Do you ever notice there are certain people who, like, they get together, certain people get together and there's trouble. And or if you're going to go with so and so, something's going to go wrong. There's just something about, and it's not that person, it might be you and that person. There just seems to be a negativity, a vibe. That negative synergy seems to be a stumbling that happens. That has to do with that negative synergy, and that maybe this isn't a good positive relationship for you. It's the type of person where they constantly exhaust you or they frustrate you. And it could be the negative synergy has to do with a lot of things. And I'm not saying they're bad people. I'm saying that there are things in their personalities that just don't seem to be in sync with yours. It could be the way their personalities. Simply put, they could have a personality that just doesn't sync with yours. It could be some of the choices they've made that put you put you in a situation where you're not real comfortable with some of their choices. It could be something that within you, in your life experience, and they remind you of somebody or something, and it puts you in an uncomfortable space. So you want to be real diligent to be careful and try to avoid the negative synergy. Now, that doesn't mean you go running away from these people, but you're careful. Because the relationship could become very painful, and it could become a lose-lose relationship and can do more harm than good. And so what we're really talking about are close relationships. So that doesn't mean you avoid people, but you're careful how deep of a relationship you would get into with someone like that. Because actually what would begin to happen is you start to bring out the worst in each other instead of the best. And that's not what we're looking for. So there are 7 qualities that you're going to look for when you're trying to find winning synergistic friends, okay? And when I say friends, I'm talking about a romantic partner, your family, your colleagues, just friends, anybody. So these are 7 qualities you want to look for in people that you would have a synergistic relationship with. The first one is they encourage greater faithfulness. Obviously, people who encourage your relationship with God are going to help you build your relationship with God. Just simply being around them, their example, their lives are inspiring to you. They make you want to do better. They make you want to be more faithful in what you're doing. They live lives of obedience and love toward God, and they try to help you and influence you to do better, okay, in that realm. The second one is they are character driven. They are self-correctors. No one's perfect. We all make mistakes, but they will self-correct. Someone may say, oh, may help them, but they'll correct themselves. They're not going to say, well, that's just the way I am. They're self-correctors. They try to do the right thing. They live by their own values, and they will support you as you try to live by your values, okay? The third one is they will defend you. They know your heart. They trust your character enough that if they're in a situation and they hear someone talking about you in a negative way, they will be able to defend you because they know you well enough. You have trusted them and they've trusted you, and they know your heart, and they know your character, and they can defend you, okay? The fourth one is they love God more than they love you, okay? That's important, that they put God first. They are not afraid to speak the truth lovingly when it's needed, and they can do it in a loving manner. They're more than willing to storm heaven on your behalf when you need help. They will stay loyal through life's ups and downs, no matter what you're going through. So they really do love God and love how they serve God more than they love you, even though they love you a lot. The fifth one is they urge you to sow your time, your energy, your finances, and any other resources you have into worthy people, places, and activities, so that you can experience with them and with others that exponential benefit of giving and knowing that you've made a difference. So that synergistic, we do something together and look what we have accomplished, Number 6, they are committed to your future and not your past. And this really spoke to me a lot. There are 3 kinds of people in your life. There's the yesterday people, and those are the people who will populate your past and will keep you bound to the past. In any situation that happened long ago, you always will be that 16-year-old person, or you always will be that person who made that mistake, or you will always be something. They kind of pigeonhole you and say, this is what you are. Those are the yesterday people. They really don't help you grow. There's the today people. They're satisfied with today. They don't look forward. They don't look back. Every day is just today. The tomorrow people are the ones you really want to seek out, because they're the ones that their focus is locked on your future, their future, and where you all are going. Okay. And in the work world, that's great because you don't feel stagnant, because there always seems to be somebody saying, hey, there's something else we can do. You know, there's a way we can make this a better place. And then the last one is they help you live a life of gratitude. And it's more than just simply being appreciative, but it's to live a life of thanksgiving and gratitude and praise to God for all he's done, all he is doing, and all he will do. And they motivate you to live this life of gratitude and just be truly grateful for what you have in your life. So those are the 7 qualities. If you'd like, I can also send those when I send the other, because I know that was a mouthful. So
I wrote them all down.
good for you. If not, I can send them to you. But
Cindy, for you, can you
yes,
repeat the second one? I'm sorry.
the second one,
Yeah, just repeat the second one for me.
they are character driven, self-correctors.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so I can send you that as well. So the goal for us now is to prepare to synergize, because synergistic relationships do not happen randomly. They just don't pop out of nowhere. You just don't feel that synergy with somebody immediately. That's very unusual. They evolve when you're prepared and you're looking for them. When you start to interact with people and you begin to realize that there's something, a connection there that seems to make sense. So when you're serious about your future and what God has for you, and you can identify people who will get you to your God-ordained destination, you're making that choice to get into that synergistic relationship with the people that you want to invest time, energy, and your heart into, okay? So the summary is, relationships make you better. They need to be the right kind of influence, and they make you more, they have to be ones that make you more focused, creative, diligent, compassionate, and responsible. And you want to maximize your good qualities and help you improve the areas that are weak. That's what you're looking for in this synergistic relationship. Now, are you reluctant to do this? Why would someone not want to do it? This is the last piece. People don't like to change. It's simple. We like to stay the way we are. And we're afraid that the stress level it would cause for us to make changes in our life would be too much. It would disrupt our life. It would just, it's too much stress. I just don't want to deal with it. Or they're really chained, they're yesterday people. They're chained themselves to the past. They want to stay past. But the one thing you have to understand is, better or worse, there are no neutral options. Your relationships are either healthy or not. There's no neutral. And I'm not talking about just acquaintances. I'm talking about real relationships, okay? And some people really fear change because it means different and new. And that's hard for people. And I understand that. But think about a new pair of shoes. Now, rarely do I buy a new pair of shoes, put them on, and they're perfect the first day, and they're perfect from that point on. There's always a day or a point where you wear them at least once or twice before you actually feel comfortable in them. And then they become your favorite pair of shoes. So if you think about relationships like a pair of shoes, there you go. So now, before I ask questions and try to see where I can lead the discussion. Do you have questions or do you have things you want to discuss? Anybody? Okay. Good questions today, by the way. You guys are really asking good questions. Okay, so here's the first question. Get ready. I want some answers. If you could write a script for a great relationship, what benefits would you want to offer the other person and what benefits would you want them to offer you? So here's the thing. Here's what I'm asking. What benefits would you want to offer and what would you want in return for a good relationship?
Well, it's pretty much what we, what you talked about, tonight. But one of the biggest things I would think would be, I would like to contribute, would be something to encourage a person.
Uh-huh.
I like for a person to feel, to feel good. So I would like to be able to contribute encouragement. That's not always me, but I would like to do that. And what I would want to receive from them, well, I want to feel good too. So encouragement, the same thing. Yep.
The more I thought about it, the more I thought, like, a lot of what I want to give, I want to receive, So the kinds of things I need are the kinds of things that I also give. And that's where you sometimes, there's little bumps in the road when you're starting to get to know a person, because not everybody needs the same things. And that doesn't mean it's a bad relationship or it's not going to develop into a healthy relationship. It just means we have to tweak it a little bit. They may need more encouragement from me than I need from them, but I may need more wisdom from them, Anybody else?
So for me, probably, and it's the same thing in terms of the reciprocal. Whatever I think I want to give is what I, or need to get is what I want to give.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, honesty, but kind honesty, not that
Mm-hmm.
brutal stuff. And then also I think support. I do so much and have so much going on that, and want support. So I think want and need support. So I think that in any type of relationship, I would want to have that kind of mutual supportive strand, if you will.
And I think you hit the nail on the head when you said, I want kind, everyone likes to be, I don't mind being corrected if you're kind. I don't get it. I make mistakes. So you tell me I make a mistake. Okay. Just be kind. Don't just tell me what I did wrong so I can fix it. Another job.
Yeah, so I was ready to say, yeah, the support. He hit it on the nail with support when he said that for me. It was the support.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes it's just the little things that knowing that someone's thinking of you. Just the other day, Mother Trout and I were texting back and forth to each other, and I just got a kick out of it because it was fun. Because we were just texting back and forth, how are you exercising? I'm exercising fine. And, and it made me feel like I need to go get on my exercise, It really made me think, okay, somebody else is going through something I'm going through, and I needed that. And that's why when we got on the call today, I said, how did she do today? Because it was nice to know that someone else is trying like I am, and to know that we were supporting each other. And all it was just a text back and forth, but it was very supportive. because it meant, okay, I get it. I feel you. So, anyone else?
Yes, Elder Cindy, I think I could ditto everything that everyone else has already said. I wrote down a listening ear
Mm-hmm.
is something that I would want in another individual in a relationship, and I would, I think, have to reciprocate the same to them, and then also willingness to be honest, like the pastor said,
Mm-hmm.
helping me in areas that I fall short in, rather than criticizing.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And that's key. You're falling short, so you don't need the criticism. You need someone to help you.
Mhm.
You know, and there's, I think the difference is that, we all fall short. We're all human.
Mhm.
So those are good. I like the listening ear too, because sometimes people will tell you something and I don't have an answer.
Mhm.
I can say, I don't have that experience, but I can listen. And sometimes just getting it out is enough.
Mhm.
And knowing that someone cared enough to sit and listen, is enough. You don't always want an answer from someone. So the listening ear is important. Anyone else? Because I have another question I can throw at you. Okay. If you consider your hopes and dreams and the things you really want to go for, how do you think a synergistic relationship would help you achieve these things in a faster, better way? Considering your hopes and dreams, how would a synergistic relationship help you attain them faster and better?
Well, for mine, I'm very like aware of myself, so I have particular weaknesses. And I think that there are, to have relationships where there are certain people whose strengths really match my weaknesses, that they can really help propel me forward toward those dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that some of those weaknesses stunt my ability to get where I'm trying to go. So to be able to have somebody there to fill those holes or gaps would definitely help.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. When you understand synergy doesn't mean you're exactly the same, but you kind of fill each other's gaps. You fill in the gap for each other. And I think it's motivational, and it helps you through those hiccups that you have. And they know you have, because you're open and honest in the relationship. So yeah. Anyone else? Okay, does anybody have any comments about tonight? Those are the two questions I had for tonight.
Well, on that second question, considering your dreams, how do you think a synergistic relationship would help you accomplish them faster? I think just simply having someone there to be a cheerleader,
Right.
to encourage you to get there and not to quit, and you know, just to say, hey, you're doing just as good as the other person is. Just so keep going and you'll get there. So, just somebody who's a cheerleader.
And if you've ever been in a work environment where you have either a coworker or a supervisor who is that kind of a supportive person, you really do are able to work better.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it, because they know what your weaknesses are, and they kind of help you. And I currently work in an environment where we have a couple people who just don't have an eye for editing at all. And so I do. I will sit and edit something till it's purple. And they send me stuff and I don't know what I'm reading. I'll read it and I'll go, it's gobbledygook. But I can tell if there needs to be a comma or a period, or, so I can help you edit. And I offer that here. I can help you edit. And it's that kind of like give and take where it makes them better and I can offer what I have. And I have probably in this work environment I'm in now, more of a synergistic relationship with more people than I have ever had before. Because we do work with each other in that way. We're better as a team.
Mhm.
So, anybody else? Anything else? Any questions about anything I talked about? I honestly think when we're done, if you would read the book on your own, I think you might find it even more fascinating, but I think it's the kind of book you really need to talk to other people about. I really do. I like how we're doing this because it does have, I feel like I always want to talk to people about it. So anything else about any piece of what we've covered so far? I think it's going to be real helpful for us as we bring more and more people into the sanctuary so that we can start to build those relationships and know what those relationships are. Because, we have this core group that seems to work real well together, but there's going to be more and more people coming in. And we need to be able to say, okay, how can I best, I met a woman, I was a child at the time when she told me this, but I never forgot it. She always says, she said to me multiple times, honey, you don't know if you've met your best friend yet. And I never could understand that because she said, every day, it could be the day you meet your best friend. And I thought that was really odd. And then when I began to really understand what she meant was, there are so many people out there that you could meet if you open yourself up to it, that your new best friend could be right there. But if you're closed, you never know, you missed it. So, I mean, we could have this wonderful, I think, synergistic group of people grow and grow and grow, not because we're all in sync, but because we have these relationships all over, that are working in a very positive way. We don't all have to be best friends with each other. That doesn't work that way. But if we're open to helping others build relationships and are more aware of how they work and what's positive and what's negative, I think we can go a lot farther with it. It's good stuff.
Yes.
Well, that's all I have. If nobody has any questions or comments.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Elder.
Okay.
I was thinking actually, about synergy, and I was thinking about how that also can work on an organizational level, where different organizations or different associations or groups of people are able to have those types of relationships with other organizations where, talk about strengths and weaknesses and things like that. So yeah, it works on many levels.
Yeah, it does. I mean, one of the examples they give is like the Dream Team basketball team, where they took all the players from all the different professional teams, put them together to play in the Olympics. And here is a group of men who constantly competed against each other. And you could have a mess on your hands. I mean, literally, with the egos. And they said what happened was the complete opposite. And that was synergy. And I was like, yep, that was. It could have been disastrous because of the egos that people had. So